So we're going to go over volume of rectangular prisms. This is going to include not only your cubes, but also your rectangular prisms. So cubes are going to be one of the easier ones to calculate because a cube means that all sides are going to be equal. So that's why you have three sides when you're finding volume, because you're finding three dimensions. And for a cube, we're just thinking about this number to the third power, or 5/8 centimeter cubed, because all three sides are equal to each other. So how do we calculate that? How do we find the answer of what the volume is? And what is volume? One thing that we want to know is, or need to know, is that volume is not like area. It's not measuring how much is inside of a two-dimensional shape, rather what can fit inside this three-dimensional shape. So think about this shape as being empty inside, and it has volume that needs to be calculated, meaning how much stuff could you put inside of this three-dimensional object? How many units of anything could you put inside? And that's what we're going to be calculating. The units that we're going to be calculating with is centimeters. So let's go and look at the solution that they have. So the cube has side length S equals 5/8 centimeters. So one side equals 5/8 centimeters. We're going to use the formula to find its volume. That is a very easy formula for cubes. That is, volume is equal to sides cubed. Now, for a regular volume problem, the volume is equal to length times width times depth, or length times width times height. Basically, the three dimensions that it gives you is going to be equal to volume. But right now, we're just dealing with the cube, so we're going to look at sides cubed. Sides cubed is taking that measurement and then writing it down, 5/8 to the third power, and that just means 5/8 times 5/8 times 5/8. So 5/8 to the third power, and you can just do that on the calculator. Remember, when we're writing out a multiplication for fractions, we're just multiplying straight across. So we could do 5/8, 5/8, 5/8 equals, and we'll just use a calculator, 5 times 5 times 5 equals 125. And then 8 to the third power, or 8 times 8 times 8 is equal to 512. So this would be the volume of, let's just redo that. This would be the volume of our cube with the side lengths of 5/8 centimeters. That would be 125 512ths to the third power. Now you can see if this needed to be simplified, but you can just enter the answer like that and you will be good. So instead of like area, where we have a square for our exponent, this is volume. It's three dimensions. It's dealing with three-dimensional objects, right? Things that are not flat, but they have volume to them, which means they're going to have three dimensions to measure. Just like when we talked about the X, Y, and Z on our graphs. So now that we looked at the solution, let's look at another practice problem here. So this practice problem is now a rectangular prism. So we can't just use side, or S equals one of the dimensions to the third power, because if you look, we have one dimension here, a completely different dimension here, and a completely different dimension here. But volume is still going to be equal. Volume is still going to be equal to all the sides multiplied together. So three sides multiplied together. So it's going to be equal to length times width times height. And then we can go ahead and plug that in. V is equal to the length, which we'll say is 1 1/3, times the width, which is 2/3, times the height, which is 1 2/7. And just to show you where I got that from, here's our first measurement. Here's our second. Here's our first measurement. Here's our second measurement. And here is our third measurement. So that's where they come from. Just in case you're confused, you can pause and take a look at where we got those from. Now, before you can multiply, you're going to have to convert these into improper fractions. So again, we're going to go through 1/3, or 1 times 3 is 3, plus 1 is going to give us 4/3. So this one's just going to be 4/3. We don't do anything with 2/3 because it is already a fraction. We're going to drop down our multiplication signs, and then we're going to do the same thing, convert this mixed number into an improper fraction. 1 times 7 is going to be 7, plus 2 is going to be 9. So that's going to give us 9/7. So now we have 9/7 times 2/3 times 4/3, or 4/3 times 2/3 times 9/7, and that is going to give us our volume. Now you can go ahead and multiply straight across like we did before. So you're just going straight across on the top, straight across on the bottom. So you can use a calculator for that again. So we'll do the numerators first. We'll go ahead and highlight that we're doing the numerators first. So numerators first, we'll go 4 times, let's clear out the calculator, 4 times 2 times 9 equals 72. So we got 72 as our numerator, and then our bottom, we'll do that now, which is also can be done on the calculator. 3 times 7 equals 63. So 63 should be our denominator. So now in order to make sure that we have it the way the system wants it, answers a whole number, a proper fraction, or a mixed number. So we have to do some division here. We have to say, okay, what is 72 divided by 63, or how many times does 63 fit into 72? Fits in 1 without going over. Then we can go ahead and borrow here. 12, take away 3 is going to be 9. And then we can we've got our remainder here. We've got our whole number here. So we should be looking at 1 and 9/63, and that's cubic miles. So 1 and 9/63 cubic miles should be our answer. So let's just really quickly look at this key idea. All you're doing here is using this formula below. Volume, get this copied down into your math journal, even if you have a note page here. Volume equals side times side times side. Okay, this can also be written as volume equals side square, but that is only for cubes, not rectangular prisms. So just remember, this is only for cubes. This is what you're going to use for rectangular prisms. So watch this video again if you're stuck. Walk through with me on how to get it done. And if you're still getting stuck, see Mr. K, because he's going to give you a different exercise to do.